Guten Morgen, Nation? Question mark? I don't know. It says we're live. I think we're live. Gosh, my hair looks banging today. I look great. I know.
Sorry.
What are you doing back there?
I was turning it on. I got notified.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bear with preparedness.com, super professional pretend news agency here on the YouTubes. Whatever. If you guys know, you know what's up. You know what to do. You know, thumbs up, comment down below. That helps with the YouTube algos. You know to share the show. If you're new here, you know what? Maybe try 2 or 3 videos before you just fully commit. I've been hearing from a lot of people like, YouTube never sends me notifications. Like, yeah, we know this. Everybody knows this. There's 100 comments in every video, every live stream. But YouTube didn't tell me. It's part of the perk of Patreon is I post this on Patreon. Every time we go live, I'm like, hey, here's the direct link. You can go. And Patreon will send you a notification on your phone and or email if you want them to, right? Just throwing that out there. Good morning, Shadow Wolf 225. Everybody else in the chat. We're going to talk about an article from RT this morning that details Americans' predictions for 2023. Give you a little bit of my commentary on that, what I think that looks like. We're also going to look at the brief that the Dance Monkeys, Intel at BearIndependent.com have put together for us this morning. And I'm going to do the talking head thing and give you my off-the-cuff editorializations, opinions, not facts, opinions on all this. So, Bear Independent Brief 4JAN23. An atmospheric river that began snaking its way over California on New Year's Eve has been causing flooding and significant transportation impacts. I can tell you for a fact, my mother-in-law, who's a badass, she lives in California, and there'd be a whole bunch of water in her creek. Not like a little bit, like where did the trees go, and is the bank going to fall in? Am I okay? Am I going to make it kind of water? Dozens of vehicles were stranded over the weekend. On New Year's Day, residents of Glanville Tract, Franklin Pond, and Point Pleasant were put under evacuation order because of the threat of imminent flooding. This storm is still winding its way across the U.S., dropping rain and snow across various states, increasing risks of flooding and interfering with safe travel. Between California and Louisiana, about 34,000 customers were without electricity on Tuesday morning. And every time we talk about the phrase, you know, when we look at extreme weather without electricity, you guys and girls, your mind immediately goes to backup generation. Right? Redundancies. Just posted that video last night on the YouTubes here for free on YouTube, talking about redundancies, backup generation. And gosh dang, I don't know everything there is to know about generation, but I do know a little bit. They used to pay me the big bucks to put those giant fan things up in the air and then stretch those wire things across the towers, up and down mountains and through valleys and underneath streams and rivers. And yeah, so what are you laughing at over there, Phil?
All the way to grandmother's house.
All the way to grandmother's house. You got Kate. Who are you waving at in the background?
Somebody said hi.
Oh, somebody said hi? Okay. Hi from the person saying hi to Kale. Yeah, small business, right? You want to say hi, Phil?
Yeah, you have like an
Hi,
audience
guys.
today. An in-studio.
Yeah, we have an in-studio. No, this is the team, right?
True.
Director of sales at the company I'm not allowed to talk about.com. Morning, Badger.
Yes. Do that.
No, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to, not, at least until the morning of the 6th. I'm not allowed to talk about it. So, anyway, every time we hear the power is out, we should automatically go to redundancies, right? Redundancies. What am I going to do when my power goes out? Good morning, tribesman. Shalom, brother. At least I hope your brain goes there. And I could yell at you again for not having those things or not prioritizing those things. But instead, I kind of want to just plant the little ear nugget in your brain. Oh, right. When the power goes out, I need to think about what do I do for me? And why is it important? Sooner or later, the power is going to go out and stay out, right? Whether it's a Carrington event or it's a catastrophic grid failure or it's an EMP or it's just a lack of maintenance or it becomes so exorbitantly expensive you can't afford it. Sooner or later, the power goes out. This is my belief. I can't prove that, but I believe that, okay? And so, like a lot of the people that we love already live off grid. Like they're already off grid. They've got some solar panels and stuff that they charge their cell phones with. They run some 12-volt lights with, but they're already off grid. The problem with that for most of y'all is it's too much of a jump from your McMansion in the burbs to the woods in a cabin with no power for you to comfortably make that jump, right? And so you got to maybe baby step it a little bit, bite-sized piece it, eat the elephant one spoonful at a time, right? And so start thinking about every time you hear about the power is out, backup generation. What do you have for backup generation? Okay. Tactical Practical, go watch that video on redundancies last night on the YouTubes. Cool, Bear. All right, good talk, everybody. Thanks, Bear. No problem, guys. Now on its heels is a bomb cyclone, which is expected to worsen the situation on the ground as it brings hours of high winds and even more precipitation. NWS meteorologist wrote in Monday's forecast, quote, "This will likely be one of the most impactful systems on a widespread scale that this meteorologist, the best words, has seen in a long time." Let's try that again from the top. "This will likely be one of the most impactful systems on a widespread scale that this meteorologist has seen in a long while. The impacts will include widespread flooding, roads washing out, hillsides collapsing, trees down, potentially full groves of trees, widespread power outages, immediate disruption to commerce, and worst of all, likely the loss of human life. This is truly a brutal system that we are looking at and needs to be taken very seriously." End quote. So, flooding, roads washing out, hillsides collapsing, trees being washed away, widespread power outages, immediate disruption to commerce, right? Prepper brain, we start thinking about, okay, mitigating risk. Am I in a place where the problem will be or could be? The answer to that is yes. Dust off the bug out plan. Where are we going? Fuel up the bug out vehicle, load up the bug out vehicle, shake down the bug out bags, make some phone calls to some friends. Hey, if things get weird, then can I come to your house? Yeah, sure. Sounds great, Susie. Can't wait to see you. Okay, right? Just pressure test those systems just a little bit, right? Immediate disruption to commerce. Oh, by the way, just throwing this out there, widespread power outages leads to widespread what? Listen, in the chat, hit me. If there's no power, there's no what? Come on, with the thumbs. What do you got? I'm waiting. Unrest, good answer, Giuseppe. Anything, good answer. No heat. Unrest, water, panic, water, heat, panic, calms. Thank you, Skipper T. Calms. Toilets, water. I love y'all. Yep, you guys get it. You get it. Tracking like a tank, Bear. There you go. No commo, right? And so if you're going to be in the affected area, talk to the people you need to talk to beforehand. Have plans in place, right? Frank, bad behavior. Talk to the people you need to talk to ahead of time, because you might not be able to pick up the phone and call them during the storm because your power could be out, their power could be out, or the power for the cell phone towers could be out, right? You guys are absolutely correct. No power, no nothing, but especially commo. So if you haven't already laid those plans, lay them, right? No talk, you have to walk. Right, Darren Davis, but where are we talking, or where are we walking to? Okay. So disruption to commerce, and worst of all, likely a loss of human life. This is why we prep, bro. Don't be where the problem is. But Bear, what about martial law? Don't be there. Well, what about if Russia puts a warhead on my forehead? Do some quick math and some quick Google foo and figure out they're probably not gonna nuke the backwoods of West Virginia. Maybe, but probably not, right? Or like the northwestern corner of Arkansas, eastern edge of Oklahoma, southwestern corner of Missouri, southeastern corner of Kansas. Not a strategic nuclear target, right? Dallas? Yeah. Houston? Oh, hell yeah. 80% of our refining capability. Yep. Probably going to be glowing after the lights go out, right? It's going to get a little weird. So don't be where the problem is, right? Well, what if the problem's coming to you, whether it's a storm or it's the Panamanian paratroopers who have landed 3 towns away and they're coming to eat your moldy graham crackers? You could stay and fight the Panamanian paratroopers. You could Wolverines the shit out of that situation. Or, hey, kids, get in the car. Hey, honey, I'm going to hook up the bug out trailer. We're going to go see Jim Bob, our buddy. We're out. Peace. And the sooner you do that, the higher the likelihood of success you're going to have, which comes back to bug out indicators. Right? Okay, good talk. On the other side of the world, now that China's zero COVID policy was rescinded, the country is being overwhelmed by a surging wave of disease. Who'd have thought? Australia and Canada are among the latest countries that require travelers from China to test before boarding their flights. Ironically, the Chinese government has threatened countermeasures, saying, quote, "We believe that the entry restrictions adopted by some countries targeting China lacks scientific basis." Oh, please, let's have that argument. Scientific basis and some excessive practices are even more unacceptable. We are firmly opposed to attempts to manipulate the COVID measures for political purposes and will take countermeasures based on the principle of reciprocity, end quote. Now, this sounds entirely like the standard Chinese line of, we don't like this, and so we now threaten countermeasures because nobody insults China. Even though their economy is collapsing, their industry is collapsing, Xi's power is being undermined, there's civil unrest everywhere, banks are closing, real estate market is basically being foreclosed on en masse. China's kind of turning into a shit show, but China's still like, no one insult China, no make for bad word against China, we make for very mad, have big fight, unacceptable, right? Like, that's basically how this reads. Experts expected this surge of COVID in China to occur and said that the Chinese people did too. And that is likely the reason, this is interesting, that is likely the reason that common medications are sparser in the States. That is, the Chinese people saw the writing on the wall and prepared to take care of themselves as best as they can, buying up the medicines that they produce. Love that. Bear's China voice is on point. Thanks, Tubbs. I get emails every day from China. It's like, please to make for nice review, can kiwi camp dry, for spray on jacket, make water no stick, for happy smile face, no wet in puddle. Good time when craft in bush with axe made steel. Best China for you. Send super fast. You get 12%. Happy space? Question mark? Respond, please. Like, that's every day. Every friggin' day. Which is fun when people are like, Bear, you've really commercialized your channel. Like, have I? I got a box full of Chinese shit over here that I haven't thrown in the dumpster yet that just showed up at our P.O. box, right? Like, have I? If you want to buy something made in America that'll save your life, you know where to go. If you want to buy some Chinese bullshit like every other prepper channel touts, yeah, go for it. That's up to you. But when you die, and they're like, I guess this $4 belt wasn't the right belt that I should have got. Yeah. Oops. Sell us some Olites. No, I'm good, man. Olites aren't terrible. Honestly, I've had several fail. But to be fair, I was doing the things with them. With the one Olite was a weapons light that had 5,000 rounds through that weapon, and what's the word I'm looking for here? The bezel, the reflector on the end of the bezel fell out somewhere in North Dakota, and I have no idea where it is. I like Surefire better, or Streamlight better, but gosh dang, you're gonna be spending a pretty penny. So anyway, we shall continue. So China, the Chinese population bought up all of the common medicines that they produce over there, which is part of why we're not seeing them here in the States, like your flu meds and even your, not just your OTC meds, over-the-counter medications, but your prescription medications as well. Still, their hospitals, Chinese hospitals and morgues, are reportedly being overwhelmed, and the leaked data suggests that about 250 million cases emerged last month alone. 250 million cases. That's a quarter to a sixth of their population, depending on how many of them have already died, how wrong their demography is, and 1,000 other factors. It's funny, or maybe it's not funny. Well, it's for the Chinese people, it's not funny. I listen to a good amount of Peter Zihan. Zihan, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his last name, even though he says it at the beginning of every video. I've just mental block. I don't know. Peter Zihan, I believe it is. Zeihan. Smart fella. Very smart fella. I've invited him on the show. I've yet to get a response, but I've invited him on the show. And he was talking about the Chinese demography. Demographics is a big thing that he's into. And he was talking about how that the Chinese overestimated their population by 100 million people, and that the 100 million people that they overestimated it by was like that critical young adult window of people. Like they don't have enough people. And for the longest time, their reported population was like 1.4 billion. And domestic demographers, us, people outside of China, thought that it was closer to 2 billion people. In actuality, it's actually like 2 billion people, that there's these large swaths of uncounted people that China's not counting because for economic reasons, they don't want to put them on the books. So it must have been closer to 2 billion. Well, now it's coming out that it's more like it's 1 billion people, not 1.4 billion, and that they overestimated the most productive part of their demography by 100 million people, that those people don't exist. So they're like, they don't have young adults to step into the workforce, not near as many as they thought that they did. And that statistically, the Chinese are older and more unhealthy than Americans are, which I find incredible. Because, man, I've been to Walmart. I've seen some of y'all. I'm like, holy shit, I don't even know how that thing's still alive. Yeah. But, you know, new year, new me, go to the gym, lift heavy things, right? Anyway, I digress. So the point here is that a quarter billion people are estimated to have COVID in China right now. We have the big C at my house. Second time in 6 months. Lived the first time. We'll live the second time. No doctors. Good job, Danette Crossley. I'm glad you made it through. I love that there's like this whole nother world in the chat over here. Like I have to try not to dip into the chat and then back out of it again because I have no clue what's happening over here in the chat. Like it's a whole nother thing. Bear, is there still going to be specials offered on Refuge Medical? Absolutely, Bob Lee Swagger. Absolutely. You can go to that website.
You should be on the newsletter.
Of which I may not speak. You can go there and you should sign up for the newsletter at mefugeretical.corn and go to mefugeretical.corn and Badger just put a link to it there, and you could go there. Not only are the daily deals plastered across the website, they are also emailed to you. Like, so get on the email list. And I think even the concept of a daily deal with Refuge, I think our current schedule is like Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, at which point we will highlight whatever deals we have going on. And for you guys and girls in the Bear Nation, if you use the promo code Bear Nation, BEAR Nation, NATION, one word or two, because some of y'all were just having a really friggin' hard time with that. So it works, one word or two. You get free shipping at mefugeretical.corn. So go ahead and check that out. Okay. Nephew's Reticle.
By the website.
Oh, yeah. Nephew's Reticle.
I mean, you happen to have the director of sales there, so.
I do have the director of sales for nephews.reticle.corn right here. Well, we'll talk about that later. So anyway, I didn't bring it up. Rob Lee Swagger brought it up. I didn't bring it up. Okay. So back to the brief. So hospitals and morgues in China are being overwhelmed. Their leaked data suggested about 250 million cases emerged last month alone. Given the dense population, these numbers are not as shocking as they would be in the States, but this turn of events may lead to policy changes or other cascading effects as the situation continues to evolve. Good morning, Michael Martinez. I appreciate you. You know the medical place on the internet. That's exactly right, Sway. So China be having a lot more COVID, and this might be the nail in the coffin for Chinese manufacturing, and it might be the nail in the coffin for Xi and his regime. We shall see. But they don't have a, how shall I say this delicately, knowing my audience, they don't have a vaccine that works in China or anywhere else. But I digress. So, Badger says we need Mefuge Reticle .corn shirts. He puts the Xi in regime. I like that piece of paradise. So it could be a big deal for them because they don't have, or at least the prevailing thoughts are that they don't have a vaccine that works in China, and they also don't have natural immunity because of all the intense lockdowns that they've done over the last 2-3 years. So, what's up, Brandon? Hello. Mefuge Reticle is the best. What's up, Dean Pesci?
I hear that. I think of like optics on top of your gun.
Yeah.
That should be a new name for it.
Well, we'll figure it out. We just planned 2023. There was not another business in there in 2023, although there almost was yesterday. I had to talk everybody back off the ledge on that one. Now, oh my gosh, 21 minutes in, we're still talking about China. From RT, I thought this was a really interesting article. Americans reveal key concerns for 2023, according to this poll. Large majorities foresee economic hardship and political division at home, coupled with a decline in global U.S. power. So, quick poll in the chat, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you agree with this statement? Do you foresee economic hardship and political division coupled with the decline in global U.S. power? Thumbs up if you agree. Yes, that's going to happen. Thumbs down if you disagree. Go. Yeah, pretty much what I thought. I know our audience. Yeah, I think generally speaking, I haven't seen a single thumbs down yet. It's just a wave of thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, most of you guys are yellow. I didn't know we had this many Asians in the chat. Some white thumbs up, some black thumbs up, but a lot of yellows. That's really interesting. Are you Chinese spies? That's super racist, Bear. I'm an American Indian, Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek. Look at this skin. It's red. I know I also have a beard because my mom was like full-blown German, So I'm probably the hairiest Native American you're ever going to see. But I get to say whatever the hell I want because I'm on the res in Eastern Oklahoma, Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek. Come at me, bro. You can't cancel me from Twitter because I don't exist on there. Let's read this article from RT.com. Americans are overwhelmingly pessimistic about their country's fortunes in 2023, with 80% predicting economic hardship and 90% expecting increased political conflict, a Gallup poll has found. So 8 out of 10 predicting economic hardship and 9 out of 10 expecting increased political conflict. So remember when we used to do the threat matrix on Wednesdays? We all gonna die Wednesday. Remember that back in the day? And we would look at like what's over there. I wish this camera could go over there. It can. Maybe next time it will. I'll figure that out.
Do they remember it?
I don't know. I think some of them remember it. Yeah, we're still a flood of thumbs ups, so I'm pretty sure. I think we're all Cherokee at this point, says Paula Scott. Probably. You go far enough back, we're all children of Adam and Hava. Some of us know it, some of us don't. Anyway, yeah, I agree. 90% are expecting increased political conflict, for sure. So these are economic indicators, civil unrest and tyranny indicators, right? Because civil unrest and tyranny comes from political conflict. Political conflict also leads to economic hardship, which therefore informs things like transportation issues, food scarcity. Transportation leads to food scarcity. The cost of fuel goes up. The cost of energy goes up, which feeds back ugly, ugly loop back into civil unrest and economic hardship. Not great. Not great. You know where all that's going to go down? You know where like people are going to continue to protest and kill each other in the streets? Not the dirt roads of eastern Oklahoma. Just throwing that out there. Not there. Nope. Murdered by Antifa? Probably not. Murdered by Sasquatch? Possible. Looking pretty good at this point. Like that's how it's going to go down. Back to the article. Published on Tuesday, the survey found that 81% of Americans expect their taxes to increase rather than fall this year. I agree with that. Do you agree with that?
What?
Taxes going up?
Yeah.
Yes, thumbs up to that. I don't approve, but I agree with that. I'll tell you the best way to make your tax burden go up, right here. Watch this. See this right here? Right up here? See these banners? Watch this. This is perfect. Nobody cares. Work harder, right? So earn more, be better at saving. No peasant shit. And then you can have money left over to tithe to Grindstone, or you can give a charitable donation to Grindstone, in which lowers your tax burden. Look, I didn't even plan that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Tremendous. Believe it. But that's the best way to make your taxes go up is to earn more money. Just throwing that out there. And then maybe if you earn enough money, you have a consultation with like a financial planner or something. And they're like, let's optimize you for, or let's streamline you for tax optimization, which is a really like cool, like lawyer-y type way to say, let's make sure you only give to Caesar every penny that Caesar is due, but not a penny more, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Cool. Don't give him extra. Yeah, just throwing that out there. No peasant shit. Back to the brief. 81% of Americans expect their taxes to increase rather than fall this year. 79% expect a year of economic difficulty, and 65% expect prices to keep increasing at a high rate. I agree with all that, unfortunately. Some 72% expect crime rates to rise. While 90% say that 2023 will bring more political conflict than political cooperation. So 90% to 10% more political conflict, 90% more political conflict, 10% political cooperation. Nah, those 10% are, they're probably high on drugs or something. Let's see. These trends have already been established in 2022. The year saw inflation rise to a 40-year high, with the Biden regime adding trillions of dollars in new spending regardless. Biden closed out the year by signing a $1.7 trillion spending bill, which, although heavily criticized by Republicans, still passed Congress with the support of a handful of top GOP lawmakers. Why? Because everybody say it with me. They are the same wings, just two different wings of the same shitty bird, right? They're not on your team. They're not on the other guy's team. They're on their team. And it's all song and dance. It's all dog and pony show. Let's fight it out on the floor, right? Screaming at each other over this bill, and then afterwards, we will go get drinks at the same lounge, at the same bar, at the same restaurant, at the same table. Not like we just both accidentally showed up here. It's like, hey, man, KL, you did a great job arguing that part. Fo, you did a great job arguing that part. Oh, yeah, Tia, you were great when you were screaming about this thing. Okay, cool. It's all going according to plan. Fabulous. And you are not a part of that plan. I am not a part of that plan. Or I should say, part of that plan that we are is the tax base. Pay them so that they can continue to dance in the dog and pony show, right? They are optimized for them, not for you. And we are supposed to have a representative republic. One could argue that we don't anymore, or we could argue that it's not nearly as efficient as it used to be. But politics in the United States of America have always been pretty messy, as I understand it. Like it's very rare that there's like periods of peace and stability. That's good. Peace and stability is good, but I think limiting the power of the a-holes in office is even better. So a $1.7 trillion spending bill which, although heavily criticized by Republicans, just blah, 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 blah. You shall know them by their works, right? You shall know them by their fruits. Not what they say, what they do. Although heavily criticized by Republicans, passed Congress with the support of a handful of top GOP lawmakers. While crime rates have not risen nationally, violent offenses rose dramatically in some cities. Where did they rise, Fo? In violent offenses rose dramatically in some cities. Does that sound right to you?
I haven't heard of cities around here that have done that.
Well, that's a good point. I haven't heard of any cities around here that have done that either. But it wasn't in the county. It wasn't in the vast swaths of amber waving grain, the purple mountain's majesty above the fruited plain. It wasn't there. It might have been, where all the big, tall, concrete buildings are. Yeah, it wasn't here. While crime rates have not risen nationally, violent offenses rose dramatically in some cities in the aftermath of the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. And occasionally we get people who say things like, well, Bear, what are you going to do when they come out of the cities and they come for you? I addressed that in a video on Patreon this morning called Starving Hordes. Really?
The Blue City?
Really? Yeah, you got to walk a long way from the Blue City to get to us. It's a long way. So yeah, I addressed that on Patreon this morning. Okay. First of all, we know everybody, every vehicle, every person on our road, and within a handful of miles around our pause, we know all those people. We know who comes and we know who goes, and we know the lines of drift. And at some point, it's real without rule of law. It's SHTF, man. The poo has hit the ventilator. It's ugly out there, bro. All right. Well, balloon's gone up. Why are you walking down my road? Here comes the roving hordes. What are you gonna do? Belt fed, skid steer, problem solved. Bear, would you really? You're a man of God. Hey, you come starting shit. We're gonna finish it. I'll send you to meet him. The two of y'all can talk and y'all can figure it out. You show up armed with anger in your heart, I'll put you in the dirt. You need something to eat? I'm probably gonna feed you. But I'm not going to feed you at my doorstep. You will be interdicted way before you get to my house. Oh, man, that takes teams, security, orchestration, intelligence, training, reconnaissance. Yeah, networking. It's a big deal, right?
We train our toddlers.
Yeah, that's right. We train our toddlers. So it's starting to sound a little culty, but, they're good at it. Good lookouts. A toddler behind a belt fed, it's great. It's great. They're really good at it. Anyway, the American foreign policy establishment spent the year heavily focused on Ukraine, with Washington sending progressively heavier shipments of arms to Kiev and allocating more than $100 billion in economic and military aid to the country since the start of Russia's operation last February. Only 14% of respondents predict a more peaceful year ahead, with 85% anticipating. I guess 1%'s undecided. They haven't seen enough of the Biden administration to make a call. With 85% anticipating a more troubled year with much international discord. 64% said that 2023 will be a year in which American power will decline, with an equal number predicting a decline in Russian power. That's interesting. With the U.S. and Russia locked into the Ukrainian conflict, 73% said that they expect China will increase in its power in the world. I don't know about that, honestly. I don't know. I think it'll try to, but its currency is shit. It's a quarter of its people are, have got COVID right now. Can you make it? Dude, hold on. Oh, man, I was going to turn the camera, but it's a good thing you didn't. Did you see that water bottle I threw in there the other day? It was tremendous. That's you were here for that. You were here for that. Lone Wolf 201011. That's a question for Patreon. I'll do an entire video on that on Patreon. Bear, in your opinion, what state cities are untenable at this point? Where would you recommend not relocating to? That's more than That's going to take more than a minute or two to address. That's a 20 to 30 minute video
That's a good Thursday.
that I would actually probably whiteboard it out. Yeah, and that would actually be a good Thirsty Thursday question, which now lives on Patreon. Link in the description. Best line I've heard: "We train our toddlers." That's right, Fanny Burke. By the way, good morning. With the U.S. and Russia locked into the Ukrainian conflict, 73% said they expect China will increase its power in the world. I think it'll try to. Its currency's garbage. Its people are sick. Its manufacturing is falling apart. BRICS is an economic. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now Saudi Arabia, is an economic alliance only, and it's not that strong. They're all vying to see who. They, meaning the partner countries in BRICS, are vying to see who gets to be the reserve currency of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, etc. They're still trying to figure out, okay, well, if you're part of BRICS, you have to use the Russian ruble. If you're part of BRICS, you have to use the Chinese yuan. Well, Chinese yuan is not strong. Nobody wants to use it, right? The Russian ruble has been tanking because of the war in Ukraine. Nobody really wants to use it either. So they're still all, whether they want to or not, doing business in the US dollar. Oh, they started their own economic partnership over here. The bad guys, guess what money they're using? Ours. They don't want to, and they're not using it for everything. Oh, they're closing out 40% of their deals in yuan. Okay, they're still closing out 60% of their deals in the US dollar, because the dollar, even though it ain't great, it's still the best looking horse in the glue factory. Thank you to Brother Jay Johns for giving me that analogy. I love it. It's just stuck. So I think globally, everything's going to come down a little bit, and it might create the opportunity for what looks like a rise in Chinese power. But China can't keep their poop in a group inside of their own borders. They've been threatening to invade Taiwan for 70 years. 70 years. I think it's 70 years. It might be 50 years. We'll just go with half a century. If you guys don't behave, we're going to come over there and kill you. Okay. Send it, bro. For 50 years, right? Not doing so hot. Hasn't happened. See you, it's hard. They have soft poops. Good for them. That's better than hard poops. Referring to getting your poop in a group. Great comment. So I think globally everything's going to come down a little bit. It's going to look like China could rise, but how? How? With their 1,000 vessel navy, like 800 of which are like fishermen boats. Okay. With their massive air force that they don't have fuel for or pilots for, with their huge industrial base that isn't producing anything or producing very little right now, with their shipping and international trade that isn't really operating at all, with their strong centralized government that's falling apart, with their strong banking and financial sector that doesn't exist, with their strong currency that's like been debased by a factor of 9 in 2022 alone. It does, like, I think part of it for us, or at least part of it for me, is just like I'm 100% willing to admit my biases of like growing up as an 80s kid was like, US good, Russia bad, right? Soviets bad, Rambo good, G.I. Joe good, Rocky good, Ivan Draga bad, right? Like, if he dies, he dies, like, yeah, indoctrination, hardcore, man, like hardcore, and then like growing up watching like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, and, all these proxy wars, Korean War, Vietnam War between the U.S. and China, right? It's like, yeah, China was a threat. I'm not saying they're not a threat now, but I don't think they're as great as they think they are, or as we think they are. Just like Russia was a threat, I don't think they're as great of a threat as we thought that they were. If anything, Ukraine is proving that. Other than the crazies, like, you can't win the war, hit the big red button, nukes fly, right? Which is the primary reasoning, justification for, whether you agree with it or not, why we have a proxy war in Ukraine. Because if we can bleed Russia, and this is not me saying this, this is NATO saying this, if we can bleed Russia dry in a conventional war in Ukraine, we don't have to go to a full-scale, full world war, which Russia can't win, which it then decides that because it can't win, we're going to shoot giant missiles into the sky with thermonuclear bombs on the tips of the missiles. Okay, so it's more of a bloodletting in Ukraine than a full-scale global war so that Russia doesn't go to nukes. That's the reasoning. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what NATO's going with. Okay. I don't even know if the Russian nuclear arsenal works. None of their other shit works. It's not going great for Russia, and it's not going great for China. It's also not going great for the United States of America. And I realize these are super technical terms that we're using right now. In economic terms, not looking so hot, right? I'd put it in somewhere around a 4-foot-high dumpster fire for the United States of America. But it's certainly not the 8-foot-high dumpster fire that's Russia, or the 15-foot-high dumpster fire that is China, right? So approximately 1/4 the amount of dumpster fire in the United States as per China, and 1/2 the amount of dumpster fire in the United States as compared to Russia. Yeah, not technical terms, but terms I think we all understand. So we're still the best looking horse in the glue factory. Is the dumpster on fire in the United States of America? Yeah. Is it burning as hot and as long as anywhere else? No, it's not. So that forces me into a position of vague optimism for the United States of America, knowing that the dumpster is on fire. I don't think China's capable of rising to a true global power. I don't think China's capable of knocking the United States off of the throne unless one goes to asymmetric warfare, which we're not terrible at either. So we should probably give ourselves some credit for that. I don't know if you noticed, but we're fighting an asymmetric war in Ukraine right now against the Russians that we started laying the groundwork for a decade ago. We being the United States of America. Like, yeah, just saying, like, that's what's happening over there. Proxy war. So who knows? But I don't see China in 2023 knocking the U.S. off of the international throne of capitalism and global control. Last line from this RT article. With their party entering 2023 in control of the White House and one of the two houses of Congress, the Democrats are more optimistic about the year ahead than Republicans. More than a third expected economic prosperity. I think you're high on drugs, but I'll take it. Compared to 4% of Republicans expect economic prosperity in 2023. I'll tell you this, I intend to create, by the grace of the Most High and by the sweat of my brow, economic prosperity in 2023. Like, what did Bob say the other day, Monday? God will move a mountain for you, but you need to bring a shovel.
Yep.
I was like, hell yeah, dude. That's the best phrase I've heard in a hot minute. The Father will move a mountain for you, but you need to show up with a shovel. Copy that. More than a third of Democrats expect economic prosperity in 2023 compared to 4% of Republicans, while 47% expect crime rates to subside. 47% of Democrats expect crime rates to subside compared to 6% of Republicans. I'm not a Republican. I am an independent. And I actually side with the Republicans on that. Other than, I think economic prosperity macro for the United States probably going to be on the downward trend. Recession actual, things are going to cost more, inflation will rise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. On the macro. But in the micro, for every one of us within the sound of my voice, go get some. Go make shit happen. Like, go move the mountain, bring the shovel, let the Father do the work with you. Doesn't mean you're not shoveling shit. You're just shoveling shit with his blessing. right? So there's going to be a lot of shit to shovel in 2023. Good. Bring a shovel. Bring two. Like Peter in Luke 22:37. I've got two swords, master. And Yeshua's like, that's enough. You only got two hands. Right? You should be good. Peter's like, roger that. Shink. Anyway, I digress. So that's the show for today. I wanted to briefly talk to you about in the state of Ohio, they have this FASTER program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an acronym that stands for something like Facilities Against Shooter Training Emergency Response, some garbage words. But basically, it's a school program in Ohio where they are training school teachers to use firearms in the schools in case there's an active shooter situation in the school, which I think is a good idea. More Bible bear, please. Homie, I have read from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, to Jeremiah 17 in the Old Testament. And from Matthew 1, verse 1, this is the genealogy of Yeshua Messiah, to Revelation, the very end of the book, Revelation chapter 22, all on camera, plus the entirety of the Torah portions. All 52 Torah portions have been read on camera as well. And I'm working my way from Jeremiah to 2nd Chronicles right now. And then I will have read every word of the Bible on camera with y'all. So patience, grasshopper, patience. Ote. Republicans, Democrats, and bare independents. Appreciate you, John James. That's awesome. I went to school with a guy named John James when I was a youngin'. So Ohio, the FASTER program, the reason I bring this up is schools in Ohio and teachers in Ohio are being encouraged to get firearms and get firearms training and to get first aid kits and to get first aid kit training. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we do that. So if you're in Ohio and you need to know how to use those things, you can email sales@refugemedical.com. I'm sorry, sales@refugeredical.com. And we'll take care of you. You're allowed to say the words. Do you have any words you want to say? That's you.
Email me, sales@refugemedical.com.
Who are you?
I'm Faux Daddy.
You are Faux Daddy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. He's allowed to say the words. I'm not allowed to say the words. Wow, being prepared. What a concept, right? So I like it. Thanks, Badger. Badger just put the email address down there. Zane Fisher is here. And he said, what up, bitches? Zane, take it down a notch. It's 8:53 a.m. Are you still up partying from last night?
Yeah, they should have seen you at 7:53.
Yes, that's true. 7:53 a.m. I just got done playing drums for about 45 minutes, and I was keyed up, y'all. Keyed up. I was like, it's bringing me back to my days of like playing shows, and I was like, I need to like slam a pitcher of beer and get into a bar fight or something. I'm like, woo, ready to go. It's like, it's not even 8 a.m. So probably a bad idea. Probably a bad idea, period. But definitely prior to 8 a.m., a bad idea. And that's it. That's the brief for today. Be sure to check out that company that I don't talk about anymore. And
I'm sure they're all like, what the
grindstoneministries.com. You need to work on your brushwork. You got it, Mark Chase. Welcome to preparedness.com. Smooth jazz. Yeah, sure. Get right on that, Mark Chase. I get right. That is not what I was playing this morning. You guys have seen my drum kit. There's no way.
You need like some soft music and some like, was it a Vassier? Like little wine?
Yeah, a little Courvoisier. Yeah, some little tappy tap brushes. No. More like 360 BPM each limb for about 45 minutes sustained this morning. Grindstone Ministries. You guys know the work that we do. Disaster relief and anti-human trafficking. If you guys think that shit is cool and you want to pour into that, you can visit grindstoneministries.com. Patreon. I love you, patrons. You guys are the best. You are the economic engine of the Bear Nation. I wouldn't do this ridiculous show without you. So link in the description as well. And with that, y'all have an absolutely blessed day. All right. Okay, Bear. All right, guys. I love you guys. All right. I love you too, Bear. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, sooner or later, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, Friday. We'll figure it out. I'll see Patreon tomorrow evening for sure. I might see YouTube tomorrow morning, depending on how the spirit moves. We'll see what happens. Anyway,
we'll notify you.
yeah, you might or might not get notified. We'll see. Shalom.